Wow. Hey, everybody. Alan from Bananas at Large, back here at the fun acoustic room here where we're just chilling out, hanging out. And I am back. We're going to go and try another one of these Facebook takeovers. What I realized from our last conversation with Cindy Blackman Santana was just how much fun it was to have a conversation with a friend. And it seemed like a lot of folks wanted to have that happen again. And the very first person I thought of is actually one of my oldest friends here in Marin County, one of the first people I actually got to meet. And I've been friends with for a long period of time. And him and I have seen a lot of things change over the years in the industry, the community, and everything else. Probably one of the most intimidating people as far as a career to encapsulate. And, when you talk about some of the biggest names in the business from a performance point of view and from a production point of view, there's almost no one that equals this man. And I don't think he gets enough publicity from it. So I want to introduce one of my best friends here in the Bay Area. That's somebody who is genuinely one of the most amazing contributors to our community. And we're going to talk a lot about, I think, what's going on around us today in our community. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to me, one of the most amazing musicians around, just an iconic person, Narada Michael Walden. I'm going to go, whoop. Did that work? Look at this. Whoop.
Here I am. Imagine.
Oh my God. I was just saying how much I miss you. This is, these times are so crazy. I'm so used to seeing you on a regular basis, at the foundation meetings, but also just, here around town at the studio. I feel like it's been like ages, just since we've seen each other. I miss you, and I miss seeing you.
God bless you. Love you too. And you look good, man. You look good, man. You're all right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I have to start with this. As most folks know, we're just gonna, I'm just winging this, but I just heard that you were out sweeping the front, and I got to tell you, as a business owner myself, I think there's a lot of things you and I have, that ethics of work and business and all that stuff. And, it's amazing that somebody of your reputation, caliber, all the things we could talk about, your lineage and all that, I'm not going to be the Wikipedia. And yet, man, you're just like me. If the front needs to be swept, go get it done.
That's right. And also there are advantages to sweeping the floor. What I've learned, if I sweep the floor, I can make a hit record. If I sweep the floor, my mind can say the things that I want my soul and spirit to channel, which for your show today is very important to me, that I say something that will inspire you and your great listeners. So that's why I'm sweeping, to get myself together.
I agree. I find that if I do those jobs, one, it keeps me grounded. It reminds me a lot of what my father taught me, and you and I have we've talked about things like integrity and stuff, when we talk about people and things, and it always seems to come back to character and integrity. For me, right, cleaning the bathroom, taking the trash out. Last week, we did the weeding out front. That grounds me. It also, I think, as the, I hate to use the big word, but the head of this company or whatever it is, and like your employees see you doing that. People know you do that. It makes people realize that you're a real person too.
Well, I know that Kimry, who works with me, whenever I sweep, she seems to like that. So that's a good thing.
I think it
keep Kim happy here too.
Yeah. It's also shows that you're invested. You really still to this day, care. I mean, how many years have you been doing this? How long have you had Tarpan?
Since 85. How long have you been that?
That's amazing, right?
Yeah. And
yet you're still invested into just the day-to-day operations, and
yes,
I think that's amazing, man.
Yeah, I'm very happy to have a great studio. I was just in here a moment ago in the control room and just marveling at this great place we have. And I was thinking about all the people who've been through here.
Yeah.
And it's just mind-blowing that the molecules still have those particles of these people. And I mean, my God, just breathe the air and it's like you feel like high.
I know, it's
So,
incredible. I mean, considering how many of these studios have sadly disappeared, with Fantasy closing recently and so many other studios,
yes,
um, to have those iconic rooms where the mojo, the vibe is still there.
right.
Every time I step in your place, you feel it. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's definitely amazing there.
Thank you, brother.
So you and I go. I was doing the math, and I know I'm getting old.
You ain't that
I,
old, man. You ain't
we're
that
about
old.
25 years that I think you and I have been friends and doing this up here. Granted, you started Tarpan long before I moved up here, uh, but man, you and I have seen a lot of changes up here. I
That's
mean,
that's true.
uh, I think back and how many conversations we've had about studios and music and watching people come and go and who's up and who's down, and yet you and I, here we are still.
Yes, we are. You're doing a great thing keeping our music community alive with wonderful instruments and vibration of, hey, children, play music. Hey, adults who love music, play music. And I'm over here, hey, you want to record? We can record.
Yeah.
We're in tandem with each other.
Oh, I love it, man. Every time you and I talk, the last thing you always tell me is, by the way, if you hear of any good singers,
Oh, yeah.
it's
You know
like,
what?
that's
They're around.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's our job to go find them. Right.
that's right.
So, I mean, you and I are both, I'm going to still say fairly new fathers.
Yes.
It's amazing how, close in time you and I started with the families, and in fact, I actually found this amazing picture I wanted to share with you. When
Oh, yeah.
look at that, right?
God, man.
When your first was coming along, and I think that was the first of many for me, and then this is the one that's probably going to get me in trouble.
Oh, I love that. I want to
Right?
copy that.
Was that my boy taking a little move there?
Oh, I love it. Make sure I get a copy. Okay, I'll show Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, so I think you and I often think differently now a little bit as fathers. We were just talking about the boys' head injuries and all that stuff, and
Yes. Yeah.
um, I thought maybe that would be an interesting starting point. Is like um, and no offense, Narda, I think anybody that wants to know your history, I mean, I want to talk a little bit about that and all, and I will get to that. But there's already so many interviews of you with that and Wikipedia. I want to know more deeper things. But right now I'm thinking so much about our social out there right now with the COVID thing, with Black Lives Matters, with the protests, and I keep thinking about how how does music play into this? Where does it fit anymore? And how can music help and heal? And the first person I think of when it comes to that is you. You're always talking about every time we get together and talk at the foundation things is the healing aspects of music.
Right.
So where's your take on all this right now? As a sort of the big picture first.
Well, thanks for asking, Alan. My little thing is this. I learned early in my life that music could make us feel better. At Christmas time, I get a little toy drum set. I bang their little paper heads until they break, and my grandparents would smile. My father would be happy. My mom would be like, "Wow." I learned that these little drums, these little things can make people feel good. And
Right.
it's the same today. It's never changed. That's the power of the music. It's a feel good. It's a high. It's a connection to God. It's a connection
Yeah.
to the higher thoughts. And that's what I want to keep in the world. Producing music, playing live,
Right.
encouraging people to buy your instruments, encouraging music, encourage young kids to keep singing, getting with the great ones and helping them make their magic. Because I know that right next to God is music.
Yeah.
Powerful. We can go anywhere in the world and play, and people get off.
Yeah.
Don't speak the language, but no language music.
Right.
Can feel that groove, can feel my energy, can see that sweat, and they want to get down with it. So that's what I know in my spirit.
Right. How do we get with all this change, um, and I think there's some very good distractions going on right now where we're changing the dialogue, we're changing the way we look at things, we're reinterpreting even down to things like Sir Francis Drake Boulevard is going to they're talking about renaming it, and we're really drilling down right now. Um, and I know that there's even talk about some of the classic songs and things that you and I grew up with where, maybe they're not so correct anymore and all that. But how can we find how do we get music to uplift right now? How do we find with all this, I don't want to say negativity, but a lot of heaviness going on right now, politically, socially, medically, all that. Where do
Well,
we?
this is a great intro into my new album. I just happen to have, for those who want to feel good, feel inspired, a brand new album called Immortality. And I think thank you very much, Ali. That's it. Boom, boom. Thank you. I'm making my little homage to Jimi Hendrix's Electric Ladyland on the cover there.
I love it. Yeah, I got that.
Thank you. But it's full of positivity. In fact, it opens up with welcoming Aretha into heaven, because I loved her so much. And when she passed away, my spirit wrote a piece for her called Aretha Dances into Heaven.
Wow.
So I start my album off, and I also have pieces on there for a gentleman on piano who moved my life named Horace Silver. I've got a piece that inspired the people who are hard working and having a hard time. That's called The Poor Shall Inherit the Earth. It's a most beautiful piece featuring Angeline on bass.
Oh, all right.
And just I have a piece for my son called Michael Anthony Cadillac, and I have a piece called We Can Live Forever. Haunting.
All right.
And I just know that we can live for a long time. And then my last piece on the album is called Immortality Part 2, where I play a drum solo. And I just really speak about, as I'm playing, the people I love, kind of stream of consciousness. And as I'm really wailing on it, I'm saying, Quincy Jones told me we can live to be over 100 years old.
All right.
I know. I want to be over 100 years old. Cash. So
Nice.
I'm committing to live a long time, like you.
I think it's amazing. I think, I think that's our job, right? Is to find that new voice and help find the kids, the youth, and even folks that are a little bit jaded and older that maybe forgot music or forgot the like you said, the feel, the notion that, getting them those grooves, making them nod their head and because you're right. You hear a song, whether it's one or you're familiar with, but if the groove is right, if everything's there, it makes you feel so complete. And nothing like, I don't think food does it. Nothing really else does what music does. And
just before I came on your show, as I'm sweeping out front, Carlos Santana sent me that piece I played for you by John Coltrane.
Right.
And it reminds you, God, man, that was back in the 60s where it just burned like that with Elvin Jones on drums, John playing so beautifully, so just effortless, McCoy Tyner and Jimmy Garrison. And I realized we have to just keep loving what we've always loved. It never goes away. If I hear Hendrix right now, I'm back to being a kid. If I hear anything I love, I'm back. So we just have to keep romanticizing ourselves with what we already know to be true.
Right.
The great things we love are still great.
Yeah.
They're still great.
Yeah.
So we just got to keep doing what we do.
And I think the other thing is there's still room to grow. There's still things to do. A lot of people think, hey, every note that could be played has been played, or every groove could be, and it's just not true.
New combinations of it, I find.
Exactly.
New combinations of taking Cold Sweat into 11, taking Smokey Robinson inspiration and writing a new song. There's always something new to be flipped. Yeah. So that's what we were talking about.
I think I don't want to get too deep, but one of our best friends, Neil, who every day inspires me, he'll just pull something new out of the thin air, and I'll be like, where did that just come from? I know it's there,
Neil, to speak about him, you're right. He's a real musical guru in that he just loves music, A. B, he's persistently pursuing and asking God for the new music.
Right.
And he's playing so much, like Hendrix was always holding a guitar in his hands. Yeah. He's constantly playing, so those ideas are just effortless. And the whole thing with myself, or like you, as friends, just catch it. Yeah. Just catch it.
It's those moments when I just stand there and go, oh, okay. You just went from there to there, and I don't even know how you, one of my favorite stories of his, and I won't go off on tangent, but as a joke, because he would come into the stores, he loves to come and hang out here. And one day when this whole COVID thing's over, it'll come back. But he would just bring me a new sound, bring me a new pedal, make me a new thing. One day I got this thing, and it was called the Mold Spore, and it was the most god awful sounding pedal in the world. It made you sound just horrendous. And I thought, oh, this is going to be funny because it's really painful sounding. It's obnoxious. It's terrible. And as a joke, I sort of set it down, and then I went, I got to go do a little phone call in my office. I'm going to just, and I thought, because I can't listen to this. It's terrible. I come back downstairs about 3 or 4 minutes later, and I walk into these beautiful string like symphony things going on. And he looks up at me with a S grin and like, yeah, no, I got this. Don't you worry. I figured this out. And it was just like, he turned this obnoxiously terrible thing into music. And suddenly it inspired me. I went, okay, everything can be an instrument and everything can be musical. And
Beautiful.
it was,
I love that story.
yeah, you
I
know,
love that
it's
story.
fun to hear these things.
I love it.
So, I mean, for me as a, you know, I started on drums myself, doing a lot of other things like you. You know, I don't know if you saw much of the talk I had with, by the way, the Cindy album. Can we talk about that for a second? Wow.
I watched you speak with Cindy, and she was on fire.
I know.
She told you and looked so like the goddess, and then turned around and played the drums for you too.
I know.
Like,
yeah, I'm not seeing a drum set next to you, my friend. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later.
I got a lot of gold,
man. She sent me a copy of it, and it just blows me away. And you did a phenomenal job on that as well. You know, I loved it, and even the video, you know, that you guys did with her singing and on all with John. What a great positive, uplifting moment too. And
thank you. Yeah, that really touched my heart because Mahavishnu discovered me, and to have a piece of his music to work with, and then bringing Carlos in, who's so beautiful, and Cindy, and my children are dancing around. So it's a love fest, you know.
It was amazing. All right, so I'll come back to all that. I think for me, I want to know where it all started. You mentioned that, you know, the paper drums as a kid. You know, what was that? Because there's always that tipping point, right? Where did you know that this is where I'm going?
If I'm honest, then when I was very little, 3, 4 years old, and even before, I think I was born with this talent of music that I feel like I made a pact with God to ask God, if you give me the gift of music, I'll be very happy in this incarnation. I feel like God said, okay, I'll give you the gift, but you have to be very grateful and remind other people to stay grateful as your friends and your families in the world. I feel like it's a pact I made because I've always felt this way. I remember not feeling this way.
Right.
And just kind of drawn to like watch records spin and being hypnotized by it, or staring at album jackets of a woman doing the mambo dance.
Right.
You know, just how beautiful she is, and the music that were correlated with it, or even the harmonies of Patti Page on Old Cape Cod. How tight those harmonies were. I'm a little boy in the back of the seat, driving up to our cottage in Michigan, in the back of my grandfather's car, just being hypnotized by Old Cape Cod. Or then you hear Johnny Mathis, chances are how beautiful he hit those notes. Then when you listen to Nina Simone live at Town Hall, I got my little high chair, pi 10 for a symbol, a box, and played along and memorized that record so much just playing with it. Then I'm up north of the cottage. Out comes 6 Pieces of Silver by Horace Silver called Senior Blues. Then I'm told that drummer was 18 years old named Lewis Hayes from Detroit, not far where we come from. So I hadn't learned that.
Right.
Oh, 5, 6 years old, whatever I am. That was the passion.
Right.
In Michigan, where I come from, it snows, so you're locked in the house a lot. And if it's not snowing, you know, the music is uplift. Like when we first heard on the radio, the Ozzy Brothers, Twist and Shout. It was like, you have to stop. It just sounds so cool.
Yeah.
My Uncle Trav was like, this is it, you know. Stevie Wonder first came out with Fingertips. My aunt Vicky and Valerie said, he's better than you are. So what do you mean I am? Yeah, and he's blind. He plays drums, he plays bongo, he plays harmonica, he sings. And we heard Fingertips, and I was like, oh my God. And I went to go see him live. I'm 10 years old now, going to the Regal Theater in Chicago, where I have cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Regal Theater to see Stevie Wonder with a little kid. And out he walks, just so like a blind person does, but even groovier because he's feeling the music as he's walking out. And when he gets out, they play Fingertips, and he gets the audience in the palm of his hand, playing harmonica, singing. Everything he does is just so like he's from another world.
Right.
He truly was like an alien.
Yeah.
An alien.
Wow.
So
did you?
I just slapped me so hard. I'm still reeling from it.
It's what's that movie, Men in Black, where they have the aliens on the screen, and you know. Did you ever take formal lessons? Did you?
Oh yes. Oh
yeah.
yes. Oh, I'm so happy that my parents, with little money they had, they sent me to a cat named Tom Carey, who had gave me snare drum lessons in the basement of Bobby Davidson's music shop downtown in the mall in Kalamazoo. And Tommy Carey would tease me. Do you know your right hand? You know your left hand? I was like, oh yeah, I know. See, I mean, that's how young we were. And he teach me the 5-stroke roll, the 7-stroke roll, the paradiddle.
Oh yeah.
And then then the cool drummers would come to town, and they'd be playing in the basement, and he'd show me, see how his right foot is playing the bass drum, but see his left foot is the heel is keeping time against what his right foot's doing. So just seeing those type of things when you're really little is like, ooh.
Yeah, I don't think most
you know.
Do you think most drummers? I don't think they know about heel and toe and how important heel was. I mean, that was one of the first things I was taught. You know, before you can hit the bass drum down, you got to be keeping time with your heel, and I still practice that to this day as an exercise. Is you know, how to keep time.
Okay. Well, then for me also, I'm very lucky to have a cat I graduated to named Harold Mason. Okay. I'm now 10, 11, and he taught me the Jim Chapin Blue Book.
Right. The
Jim Chapin Blue Book, Independency. And it's just the right hand, you read it, ching, ching, ka-ching, ching, ka-ching, ching, ka-ching. And then written below it are exercises playing different things against ching, cha-ching, ching, cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. It keeps changing, but it really works your mind to go, oh, you got to think 2 different things. Then you put the feet with it. Now you're doing 4 different things.
Right.
If you want to sing, you're going to do 5. Your mind, like a bicycle, learns to like think in 4 and 5 different exercises, and it's incredible to learn that when you're young.
Right.
So that really helped me tremendously.
I think Cindy and I talked a little bit about this, how drums create this independence, and how it translates, like how easy it was for me to learn how to do stick shift guitar, driving a car. You know, for me it was no big deal. Clutch, you know, brake, this, that, the other. Same with basketball, all these things. I mean, it's amazing, right? And for you going into production, being able to listen, move, you know, we always had to be a measure ahead, right? While we're playing, but our brain's over here. Yeah. Drums is amazing for that.
Yes, it is amazing for that. But in production, I got to say one thing who taught me how to, seeing my grandfather, my parents knew how to clean buildings. You know, the custodians get things going quickly, get them clean, get out.
Right.
Do jobs quickly. You can't build dilly-dally. And then I saw Guru every day having functions, every day having things like that. Ding, 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 ding. So then I realized, in moving into production, it's easy if you just stay on it.
Right.
If you don't stay on it, then you fall. But if you can stay on it, you know, the music it'll work with you. It'll work with you. You burn your little candle. So the vibes know, oh, we can go there. You know,
right.
We can help them. And it all kind of falls in place. So these disciplines really do help us in life.
So take us to where you move into professional drumming. Where's the change over there?
I'm very happy. When I'm 11 now, I have a band called the Ambassadors with a cat named Joel Brooks on organ. I play drums with organ. And his uncle is Fred Jones, who owns a nightclub called the Ambassador Lounge. And we can go in there and play and open up for who's ever coming through town. You know, other organ players, it could be Jimmy Smith, could be Jack McDuff, could be different, Richard Groove Holmes, those type of people coming in, a little black club, and you had to go in and just make them feel good as cats coming in off their work, because you couldn't stay long, we're kids, but we could play and understand what they wanted to hear as kids. That was tremendous.
Right.
And then we had to rehearse in his living room, and his father was Joel Brooks Sr., and he would say, play After Hours. And After Hours comes from Kansas City, and it was a slow blues. Right. You had to go for slow blues with no fills. It could be like 10 minutes long. So every weekend we ended up playing After Hours. Wow. And that was a great discipline. I think about it too.
Right.
So important.
I always found it the slower and the simpler, that's the hardest thing to do. Yeah.
I didn't realize at the time, but now looking back on my life, I realized, oh damn, After Hours is terrible for me, you know?
Right. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
So when did you get plucked from there and get to that Man of Issue level? How did that happen?
That's a growth from Ambassadors. Then I'm playing keyboards a bit. I started my own little bands playing keyboards for a while. I started my own bands playing bass.
Wow.
My own bands playing with the horn bands when Chicago came out and that whole horn thing. I joined a band called Avatar. Now we're playing with more progressive, fusionary. And, you know, it's always been something with music.
Right.
But my vision didn't come until I was 19, 20.
Wow.
And I, you know, heard about that music and studied that music and was able to join my vision when I'm about 20 years old.
Right.
In 74, I joined him.
Such a young age to go to that you know, premier level. I mean, that must have been so demanding and intimidating, and yet, man, you know, obviously you killed it.
Guru taught me. Guru helped me so much because he actually made it possible. John McLaughlin and Guru made it possible for me to even be in that realm at all. But he would say to me, you know, just compete with yourself.
Right.
Be the best of you, and don't try to compete with anybody else.
Right.
Just compete with yourself. And just that simple thing helped me tremendously. Then he would say, don't judge yourself, because you may think that night when you're playing a show, you weren't very good. But in fact, in the audience, you could have saved somebody's life. And God would say, tonight you were the best. Other nights you may think, wow, I was really great tonight. And God would say, it was okay.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I'm always critiquing and checking myself, and you know, but yeah, I took lessons from a gentleman named Chuck Flores who wrote the book. I think his book was he wrote an independence book too as well, and he turned me on to Roy Burns, and Roy made me go play with some big bands, and I was 8 or 9 at the time, and I was scared, like, you know, I didn't belong up there. But he said, but that's why you do belong up there. And it always taught me, play with people who are better than you, challenge yourself, rise up. And like you said, try not to judge yourself, but, you know, not worry about others think, but get yourself to rise up. And those were some of the best lessons I ever had. Even in the failures were, you know, successes because they taught me.
Beautiful. I mean, even the great ones like Miles Davis would always surround himself with musicians he thought were better than him.
Right. That's amazing.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
there's a magic in that. No matter how great you are, to still surround yourself with cats who are like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Man, so tell me, I'm always curious. I don't think you and I've ever talked about who your influences were. You know, Cindy and I had a nice chat about some of her, you know, the drummers that ticked off the box for her. Who?
Well, as a very, very young kid, I heard Max Roach play versus Buddy Rich. My dad wanted to be a drummer, so you have those albums in the house of these cats playing. So I just listened to it without really understanding what I was really hearing, but just checking it out. There's a few things I must say. There's a cat named Art Blakey. When I'm 10, there's an album called Jimmy Smith, The Sermon. It's about 20 minutes long. And my dad takes me to the basement of Marvin, where he has a little bottle of beer. And they're hearing this album, the sermon. I walk to the speaker to hear it, because what I'm noticing is, unlike most jazz records that are always busy, Art Blakey was not busy.
Right.
It was ching, ching, ka-ching, ching, ka-ching, ching, ka-ching, ching, ka-ching, ching, for almost 20 minutes long. A backbeat in jazz. Against the sax solo, the trumpet solo, the organ solo, the guitar solo, he didn't change. In my brain, it was like E equals MC squared. You can play a backbeat against jazz, and it's perfect.
Right.
I learned you don't have to be complicated. You can just put a backbeat on something, and it's delicious.
Right.
So that was a big moment in my life. Then switch over to Mitch Mitchell now with Hendrix.
Oh yeah.
This cat's playing the deep groove, but all the chops in the world, like Buddy Rich would have, like Elvin Jones would have, and getting away with it. So I go, okay. So now I can unbundle all the things I learned from my teachers and bring them in, but don't forget that groove. Gotta say something else. The great James Brown, the Godfather of Soul, with Cold Sweat, a major influence on my life. If you can play the Cold Sweat beat and feel that power, that can translate into everything you're doing.
Right.
So I have a lot of great teachers when it comes to drummers. A lot of great teachers when it comes to drummers.
That's amazing. So you brought up Buddy Rich, which of course, you know, as in the drummer world, you know, it seems like everybody sort of bing, you know, that guy.
But why? I gotta say something. That cat, not. It ain't just flash. Oh yeah, he was hella flashy.
Oh yeah.
but he was a funky mojo.
Yeah.
And he knew where it came from and how to grab you by the neck and throw you down.
Yeah.
That's why I love it. I don't just love all the flash. I love the fact that he was a bad cat, man.
Right. Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah. Everyone always says, "Oh, is it Gene Krupa? Is it Buddy Rich? Is it?" And I asked Cindy the same question. I'll ask you: is it Buddy Rich or is it Animal from the Muppets?
Well, you got to get Animal
Right.
love.
We got to go with Animal for me,
You
but you know.
wants to give Animal love, Animal
right?
love.
But you know, it's the funny thing is how important Animal really is. After my talk with Cindy, I was thinking about it. How many kids probably went to go play drums because of that Muppet?
Yeah, and in my case, it was Cubby on the Disney show. I love Cubby.
Right.
Remember him?
Yes.
And, all the little influences when we're children are very big.
Right. That's true. Okay, so I've been asked. This is the question I seem like I get asked a lot whenever it talks about you. This Jeff Beck thing, man. Your relationship with him. What was Jeff like?
Jeff is a consummate cat who just lives and breathes to want to turn you on. And what I learned most about Jeff in my touring with him is that even if he's tired, not feeling well, a little sick from traveling all night, when he plugs in his amps, we hit that cymbal, that snare, and that backbeat, that bass drum, he springs to life. Yeah. He's consistent in springing to life. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Wow.
I played one show with him where he was like laid back, didn't really care, didn't really know. If I go, bah, back it up, back it up. Oh, he's on, man. Every show. So I have to give him that love.
Yeah.
And also, he's a very reverent kind of guy. For example, we wanted to do the song of Jimmy's called Little Wing. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't just play Little Wing. He would take almost 6 months behind the curtains, behind in the dressing rooms, on the buses.
Yeah.
Not only learning what Jimmy had played, but knowing how he could learn it so much that he could play and do more with it in all reverence and honesty.
Wow.
So when I saw that, I was like, yeah, you a real cat, man. You a real cat. So I give him a lot of love.
That's yeah. I mean, he is, considered. I mean, he's just in the guitar world. He's that mystery.
There's a blues we play. There's a blues.
Yeah.
And you have all the music with that, but the blues piece he plays, and when we get really rowdy and it gets up, that relieves more emotion night after night than probably anything I've ever seen happen. We went down to New Orleans for the Jazz Fest down there. They had that big Katrina thing would happen down there. And they had been sad. I mean, people had died and there was sadness. We played this piece after it was over. It was just so heavy and so just that the applause would come in waves. Wow. They couldn't play the next song because they had to get it off them. Right. They had to get it off. They had to keep applauding just to get that pain off. That's what Jeff can do. See, I have to give him that because I don't normally see that.
Right.
I don't normally see a cat play that deep. Well, you can't play the next song.
I had my experience with him. I saw him when he did the tour with Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Okay.
And they were flip flopping night after night. This was down in LA I think it was at the Forum. Huge place, right? Massive. And the acoustics there are not great. It's very big, very echoey. You're in a huge place. And Stevie did a great job. He opened up that night, and I was blown away by him. He was amazing. But then when Jeff came out, it was like all of a sudden the Forum became a little club. Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe how he had control over the dynamics. It's almost like he memorized something with the acoustics of the room and owned the place. And all of a sudden it felt like we were all in this tiny spot and everything was focused on him. I mean, he pulled what Buddy Guy does night after night in smaller clubs where he gets you to like, I'm right here and you're going to pay attention to me. And I got you right here in my hand. Jeff did that at the Forum.
He's all about that sound. And he'll bring with him his great sound man to make sure. And he'll bring with him his great guitar tech to make sure when he wants to hit the cathedral echo, it's timed for that building.
That was amazing. But
So
it was also just him.
sound.
Yeah, but it was just him too. You could sense that it was he had that command over, that aspect of the performance as well. It wasn't just guitar playing; it was owning that room.
That's right.
Yeah.
And again, it's his intention to do that. His intention to be felt. It's emotion. He's like Carlos. They're Cancerians. Their heart, emotion. So if they can't touch you, then they ain't happening. So they do everything they can. I'm a whisper to touch you.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I put Buddy Guy in there too. He's up there for me when he comes out and he takes everything down to that whisper of a dynamic and makes you pay attention to him. I still love to this day. That guy can do no wrong to me.
Carlos says that he loves Buddy Guy because he can hold lightning in his hand.
That's a great, that is.
The great ones we love. That's what's going on. They have the power to hold lightning. That's how much power is going out there. Yeah. No crying, it's holding that lightning. So all those great cats can do that, man. We give them so much love. Yeah.
Well, you do that as well, my friend. I mean, every time I watch you play, you're that on drums. It's amazing to watch you still to this day for me. It's inspiring. And I've seen a lot of people play. I get the backstage view. I get it all. But man, you do that every time I watch you. It's amazing.
Thank you so much.
No, thanks to you.
It's my intention to cry. It's my intention to really do something that is beyond me. I ask God to just take my body, take my mind, my heart, my mind, my soul, my vital, my energy, and just take it and use it. Yeah. It's a prayer I make.
It's inspiring. It really is. And again, to come back to our first topic, I mean, it's what our world needs right now. We need to be inspired. We need to be asking for that and find ways to put good into the world,
Well, that's what we have to do. But everybody should really take a pause and think, what can I do? Am I giving my best? I live by a thing called the 4 agreements. Agreement number 1 says, be impeccable with your word. Number 2 says, don't take things personally. It's very hard for me because, what do you mean you don't like my song?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What do you mean?
It's tough.
It's personal.
Yeah.
Number 3 says, do not assume. Ask the question. And number 4 says, always do your best. Even when you're sick, always do your best.
Right.
Those things help me stay aligned with the universe.
Right.
And my calling and our calling.
Right. Yeah. You and I had talked early on, I think back when the foundation stuff was going on. And, and I told you my it's gratitude. Every morning I wake up and I go through just a moment and think of everything that I'm grateful for. And before I go to sleep every night, gratitude. And it really makes me humbled. It reminds me of why I'm here. And it takes a while. And that's my similar tenet is that. And I think even if every day, if we just get somebody to, even if they're in their room by themselves, not even online, playing a little guitar piece that comes then out, right? The spirit comes out and that's now in the world. Whether anybody hears it or not, I think it adds just positivity.
Also, it's hard to say something. There's a friend who I know who loves you as well. And I want to say his name because he told me, so looking forward to our interview today. And then he reminded me how important our interview today is. Robert Kane. He works at yeah. And he said, you're going to be on with Alan on Friday. I go, yeah. Robert's going to be watching us. So I got to say, Robert, and people who are like him, who are our fans that love what we do. And they are also out there playing and trying to their best. So this is the collective spirit that we need. Right.
And I people like Robert and all these folks that you deal with on a daily basis, I love it. We don't judge. I'm not above them. They're not below me or anything. It's just, we're humans together. And why don't we just enjoy this run together and, help each other out?
It took me a while to learn that. Guru, I would always feel like I was looking up. But then later in my life, Carlos said, don't look up. Don't look down. Look eye to eye. Look eye to eye, like I'm looking you eye to eye. So I'm trying to learn that because I've always wanted people on pedestals. Like John McLaughlin, he's so genius. He's on a pedestal. But in fact, I have to learn to look him eye in the eye.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. It's hard sometimes, but yeah. and also the opposite. It's hard sometimes not to look down on people, you know, especially when they're working hard to get you to try to do that. But yeah, you know, I agree, man. Before we get too far off, I want to talk about you mentioned the room and Tarpan and the vibe and stuff. Let's talk about when that transition happened to production. When did your heart, was it a career thing, or were you asked to do, like, how did the production happen?
I have to go back quickly.
Yeah.
First real producer that I watched was probably one of the geniuses of all time, Sir George Martin.
Wow.
Here I am in 1974 in London, in his room, London Air Studios, making the Apocalypse album with the Mahavishnu Orchestra and the London Symphony at the same time. And we're recording in opposite rooms, and he's like conducting this whole thing. So we're all at peace and relaxed about everything. And we're playing at odd meters. I'm in a little room with a little TV screen so I can see Michael Tilson Thomas conducting the orchestra. Michael's out in the other room with his orchestra with a little screen. He can see me so we can hook up on the time zones. I'm watching Mahavishnu. I'm singing Ralph Armstrong, Jean-Luc Ponty, Gail Moran. Here I'm making this album, and George Martin makes everything feel like it's easy. So that was a very big lesson for me.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even when people say, oh, George, I love what you do with Ringo and you phase the cymbals. Can we do that? He said, no, we've already done that. I think, yeah, he has already done that. Okay. So like, you know, just so cool about everything like that.
Right.
So he was a big teacher. I made Wire with Jeff Beck. There's George again. And here he's at the piano on my piece. I wrote 4 pieces, and he's transcribing the pieces so he can put strings on a piece. I'm going, this guy. He's a real musician, you know.
Yeah.
So here I'm singing him again. Then I make my first solo album. This is not with Tommy Dowd, who did Allman Brothers and Aretha Franklin and Ray Charles and all the greats in New York. And I had a chance to watch him, and he was so similar, relaxed, a little time watching how long a song is, and all about compression. He said, Ray Charles taught us, don't use your eyes as much, use your ears. Use what your ears are telling you. So, okay. So he would get on and compress the things, compress this, compress that, to make everything feel like it would sound good on a radio. Wow, what a magic. So I learned from him. In comes Reef Mardine. He's working with Shaka Khan. He's doing Average White Band. He's doing Bee Gees. Watching him. So I had a chance to watch these great people. And it really turned me on. That I had a love for making records.
Right.
And then Jones called me one day and he said, you know, you might want to consider producing people because we need more helpers. And I liked how that sounded. We need more helpers. So the first thing I really produced was a cat named Don Cherry who played Pocket Trouble with Ornette Coleman. Ramon Silva from Atlantic Records said, we need to make an album for him like Bitches Brew, something like that. Would you produce it? Okay. So I did that. And I enjoyed it. I had the best in the world playing that album. Tony Williams played drums. Lenny White played drums. Raymond Gomez, Stanley Clark played on this record. I got the best in the world playing this record. Like, my first time. Wow. So then, as a producer, as a pop cat, after I Should Love You, some of my own disco hits, there was a young girl about 10 years old named Stacey Lattisaw. And the man who was working with me was Henry Allen for Cotillion Records through Atlantic. And it was his prize to make Stacey come to fruition. And I said, well, let me produce 4 songs for Stacey. You won't lose that much when producing 4 songs. If you don't like them, you throw them away. But if you like them, I'll finish the album and you have a great album. He said, okay, you got it. And we went and came back to San Francisco. I was living here. And I got my band of Frank Martin, T.M. Stevens, Corrado Rustici. And we rehearsed these 4 songs so tight. So when I go to the studio, I can cut them in almost 2 days. Maybe right. Angel, Jump to the Beat, Dynamite, and My Love. Wow. And in Flew to New York, got our vocal on it, did the strings of Mike Gibbs, mixed them, turned them in, way under budget. They were like, you're under budget, and it's a smash. So back in my life, then I got Sister Sledge, Angela Bullfield, Phyllis Hyman's, the phone started ringing. Then Clive said, how about you doing Aretha Franklin? Wow. And I call her on the phone. He says, give her a phone call. So I call Aretha Franklin. She says, I say, Aretha, what do you do for fun? She goes, oh, maybe I go out to a nightclub at night. Maybe I go into a nightclub, I see a guy in the corner. He's looking kind of good. He looks at me, I look at him. It's like, Who's zooming who? Who's zooming? He says, but he thinks he's got me, right? But then the fish jumps off the hook. The hook. I realized that's how she talks.
Wow.
So that became the smash for us on Who's Zooming Who with the freeway love and all that stuff. Bam! So my life's been really, really blessed. I gotta tell you, good karma thing works.
Yeah. I'll tell you, every time I see you playing the videos back in those days with her and some of the live stuff, the smile on your face, I mean, you're just in pure joy and having a great time. And I know it's work. I know you're working, but it's just so pure. I wish I was going to pull the video up. I actually saw this thing. I had to ask you. I found it the other night. The greatest garage band ever. It was Eddie Van Halen, Bryan Adams, John Mellencamp, and you. Right? Do you remember this?
I know I did a great thing for the VH1 school.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, 3 drummers. Myself, Don Henley, and another cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, you never told me about that gig. I mean, wow. I mean, that's and man, the smile on your face, and you are the one holding everything together. You know, I could tell.
Yeah, that's what drummers do.
I know.
That's what you gotta do, man.
Oh my God. I know. It's so hard to explain to people how, okay, they all say, well, you're just supposed to keep the time. It's like, well, no, when that bass player slows down, I got to go get his attention and come here, come back over here. Stay here with me. Wait a minute. And guitar player, you're going too fast. Guitar player, come over here. No. Bass player, stay here. And you were doing that with 2 other drummers. You know, but man, what a night that video. I was having a great time watching that.
I want to see the video. I don't think I've ever seen the video, but that sounds.
I'll send you the text. The funniest thing of all people is Eddie looks severely uncomfortable in the beginning, and then sort of relaxes. You know, because he's a little out of his element. But what a blast! I was just watching this thing, and then all of a sudden I'm looking at the drummer. I'm like, oh, I know who that is.
Yeah.
And then the work that you put in.
A cat named John Sykes. He was in charge of MTV at the time, holding the whole thing. So he wanted to have like a fantasy moment, and he did.
Yeah, I didn't see like it. It didn't seem to continue on. It seemed like maybe a one-shot thing that probably they were gonna maybe continue, but it just, I don't know if it fell apart or whatever. But wow, what an awesome night, you know.
Yes, and Steve Winwood was there.
Right,
was there. It was a lot. It was a lot of heavyweights, man, at one time.
Sheryl Crow, I think, was on it. Yeah, I mean, Richie Sambora, I think, was doing it. But yeah, what a night! And there you were, man. And it was so amazing. I guess part of the drum history I have, being able to identify and watch. You're the one that's holding everything down, but having a great time doing it.
For me, it's the most fun.
Yeah,
I played the Rainforest shows. We've done 13 of those with Sting and the biggest stars again. And to be in that chair is just the most phenomenal place to be.
You know, I have that as one of my notes. I was going to say, so let's just talk about this, because you and I, this is, I think, core to you and me. I think we both firmly believe that our duty is not just to, in my case, sell things and make money and go home. In your case, make hits and make money and go home. You truly are a contributor back. And I think you and I align on a lot of the same core values of what our job is in this real world of the community, that part of the word. And when we talk about music community, really focusing on that. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're like the MD for the Rainforest Foundation. That's amazing to me. And the fact that you are friends with Sting and all that. And I think people read about that. But I think what people miss is really what you do locally. And you're my hero around this, because I think you're one of the few people that I know I can call on at any time. I know that you and I have a lot of alignment in our values. But I mean, I want to talk about the Narada Foundation, of course. But I mean, let's just talk about the last couple of albums, the Cindy one, the new one. You could hire anybody. Your Rolodex is amazing, but you're pulling in Angeline, you're pulling in Tal, you're pulling in local players and giving them that opportunity and chance. And man, that's just amazing that you do that.
Well, these are amazing players, and they happen to live right here in our backyard. I mean, look at Prince. He pulled out of Oakland, the greatest players ever. I mean, they're here.
Yeah.
Stone came from here. Carlos Santana's band came from here.
Yeah.
Drina came from here. Huey Lewis News came from here. Tower Power, Cold Blood.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, it's just the Bay Area's got a magic.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I love that you take and choose to support, you know, the local musicians in almost every endeavor you do. And that's amazing.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored.
Thank you.
That on this new album, for example, and my past albums, they really work hard to, if I want to play a show, to come in and learn the music. It's not always easy to take time to learn all these things. So that really turns me on, you know, that because I like to play a lot of stuff. I like to play pop music, soul music, funk music, fusion music, heaven music, you know, any kind of thing. So these players are just so flexible. That's what I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns me on.
And now you're playing a new music, but let's not talk about that. I want to talk about the foundation because I feel a little guilty. You know, as I promised you, I would be involved. And then during the holidays, I take a break from some of those duties just because my world gets so chaotic. When we came out of that, of course, we went right into this COVID thing and all this, and we haven't really had a chance for the foundation to get it. But can we talk a little bit about that? Can you? I really want to make sure people understand and know what we're doing, what you're doing, your vision. First off, you know, what is the foundation there for you? What it means to you?
The foundation for me is an opportunity to enlighten, give confidence, give happiness to kids. First of all, they're wanting to be singers, wanting to be musicians, and I try to bring in for every show a classic diva to inspire them that they can have a chance to work with and watch, and everyone gets inspired. This one of the past shows, I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah.
Passed away because she had wanted to be on one of our shows earlier, but after she passed away, let's honor the Queen. And those children learned her music, and that's not easy. Nope. And the band, everything learned like it'll be a Aretha Franklin show, her music, and that really, really knocked me so emotionally beautiful. And the players came. Aretha's bass player, Ralph Armstrong came. Aretha's keyboard player, Nick Ralph, came down here.
Right.
So for me, that we can mix in with our kids, the professionals, and everyone gets turned on, it's a life awarding experience.
Yeah.
And this is what I want the Narada Michael Walden Foundation to do and to continue to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, throughout the year, we through your guidance, and every time we had a meeting, it was, you know, we talked about different schools that were in need, and we provided, and we found ways to, you know, we were working on the budget and finding ways, and you know, as you know, anytime we do these things for nonprofits, it's hard to want to say yes to everything and everybody, and we have to make some tough decisions. But I was so impressed. I mean, we found. I think now we're doing a little bit of scholarships, a little bit of just straight up donations, things like that. I love where we're heading with this, and how many kids we're touching, and the guidance from you allowing us to help bring these things to the table. And I think we fulfilled 4 schools last year. We got them a ton of musical instruments, right?
God bless, yes.
And then we gave a scholarship to a singer. We started to work on the one that I think was going to come and work with you at the studio, but we have to probably wait now for COVID to pass. But to me, the foundation is that part. To me, it's that sort of silent. We're not looking for a lot of peacock feather waving our flag. It's just our sort of our duty back to the community.
Yes.
You know, as you and I had talked.
Yes. And it turns me on. Ronnie Spector, who's a big, big hero of mine, came and sang and turned everybody on. Martha Reeves was dancing in the street and Heat Wave and came and turned everybody on. Dionne Warwick came and turned everybody on. I mean, I'm just telling you, man, Clarence Clemens was alive, turned everybody. Carlos Santana's coming through and turned everybody on. Sting is coming through and turned people on. So I'm just so happy to mix in my heroes,
right?
Kids who just need to realize, I can do this. I can do this.
Right.
The point was someone you brought to me just this last year, a little guitar player. And I had on MC Hammer. And MC said, I'm looking for a hot guitar player. When you heard this kid play, he was like, you're going to be in my next video. What's the kid's name?
Yeah.
Asher.
Yeah. Asher's amazing. Yeah.
That kid rocked the house.
Oh yeah. I told
And
you.
I'm telling you, that's what I'm talking about. Here's the great MC Hammer being rocked by a kid, and the kid being rocked by Hammer, and I'm playing hard.
Yeah. I love Asher. Asher, I met him many years ago, and his parents have become very close friends, and I've watched him grow a little bit, and he's got, you know, I don't want to sound negative, struggles with social and all this stuff, but when he picks up that guitar, he's not faking it, you know, and he's got not just the skills, but you're feeling that's his way of expressing, that's his way of communicating into our world. You know, that's his way of dialoguing from his heart that I don't think he necessarily does, you know, from his mouth. But I knew it was a match. I knew he would be a great.
What I loved about him is we talk about the fifth gear.
Yeah.
He has the fifth gear.
Yeah.
It's an unknown, unspoken thing that a gifted person just has.
Yeah.
And when you start playing, it just kicks in.
Yeah.
And you go someplace.
Yeah.
He's got that.
You and I know a lot of people. You know, there's a lot of musicians here that I think play other people's stuff really well. They're amazing musicians. They stun me, and they're amazing, and they can do all the stuff that everyone else does and does it really well. Yeah. And half the time I listen to them, I go, but I don't hear you.
Oh, I see.
Right. I think with Asher, that's coming. You hear him in there, and he does know his history, and he's learning, but I can hear him in there, and that is gives me a lot of hope. So.
When I first heard him, there's a cat I worked with when I was coming up in LA before I was discovered. And his name is Eddie Hazel. He played guitar with a band called The Funkadelic. And they called him Maggot Brains. And there's an album called Maggot Brains. And this guy, Eddie Hazel, is so heavy. He can play the really fast funk, play the slow blues, but he just had his own. This kid that you're talking about, Asher, is kind of similar in this, but he's young.
Right.
You got the funkadelic thing going on, and got there and played one of those pieces that was hot by who's the singer that had a big hit out, and he played it. Anyway, the point I'm going to say is this guy, I'm very taken by him. Just
yeah. He came by last week and he's doing bebop jazz stuff like it's nobody's business. Like that's his new. Like he's over here now, and I was like, where did that come from? Yeah. Hey, so I know we're sort of running out of time, and I know you're a busy man, and you probably have more sweeping to do as I do. Plus family stuff. We both got to get home to the kids. But you know, I just before I touch on something else, I was sort of thinking about last night when I was talking to Meredith, and she sends her love, and
love
we were just saying like
love the Meredith.
You know, and I was just saying, you know, how intimidating a conversation would be with my friend here with the public watching, like, you know, do I cover the Wikipedia? Do I go the whole list? Do I, you know, and I said, you know, there's these folks, and generally most people you and I know, they have that one moment in their life, and that's their thing. And they get to capitalize on that. And if they're lucky, they get maybe a second hit or a second opportunity in life. That's pretty rare, right? Most times it's, I got this thing, and that's my success. And for me, I look at you and I think you have a once in a lifetime moment every year. It seems like, you know, and yet you're staying so humble and you're such a giver. And I think people miss that. Besides the roster, just that how amazing your life has really truly been, and I just think that's amazing that you're still such a level human being and such a great friend to not just myself but the whole community. And
I learned something when I would read the writings of John Coltrane, and he wanted to record and make a lot of albums and play a lot of shows, but he, at the base of it, at the heart of it, wanted to play music that would please God. He wanted to play music that would make God happy, and in fact turn people on, because it's the God in people. And I just took that to heart. How important it is that we can stay open, keep the ego aside a bit, to let God come through, let the Spirit come through. And that's what I think is so important in my life. And it's my real focus consciously to talk to the God in you, your family Meredith, the God in everybody.
Yeah.
And I know that's what this all is all about. The music is supposed to remind us, oh, yeah. So,
Well, on behalf of the entire music community, especially this one up here in Marin, and all the musicians that you've touched, I mean, honestly, man, I can't thank you enough. I mean, taking our friendship aside and just being somebody here, and speaking of that side, I mean, all the musicians that you have inspired, brought forth, given opportunity to, all the creativity you've put back into the world, the positive spirit that you remain, even in the toughest of times. I mean, you and I have seen tough times,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yes.
there's been really ups and downs. And
They are poor right now. The times are tight financially. The
yeah,
times are tight in the spirit sense of our physical.
yeah,
We don't want to get sick. We're trying to stay safe.
right.
Where the germs are coming from, we almost don't know. It could be a doorknob.
Yeah.
It could be the simplest thing to make you sick and kill you. So here we are, on high alert. Then we got a president going on. We're not sure. Hold on now. You know what I mean? We got to check it. We got to check a lot of things right now.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is it's really important to hang on to our spirituality and pray and meditate.
Yeah.
So you can hold on to our inner selves where our strength truly lies and make it through this.
Yeah.
Fires are going crazy right now. We're seeing it everywhere. We're breathing the smoke. We want to say prayers for everybody and do our very best to take care.
Yeah.
It's a lot. You're absolutely right.
I agree. I mean, I think back over the 25 years you and I have been friends, and some of the times when the industry is just tight and we're both like going, man, money's tight, the business is tight. What am I going to do? And you and I would end up on the phone and we talk. How do we? And sometimes we were able to do things together. Sometimes, but we'd have those talks. Yes. What can we do to maybe help each other out? What can we do to help this community? What can we do to? And I think that's part of our survival. Is
Well, that's why I asked you to be part of our foundation, because I like you and your clear thinking, and I like how you can get things done. I also like, for example, not just the Bay Area. You know about NAMM. You know about other situations where things are going on and how to parlay. That's a great thought as well.
I think if Meredith was here right now, she'd say that the two of us probably have the best Rolodex in the business. If anybody still remembers the Rolodex. Okay, so I think it's important that we maybe take a minute to just acknowledge your sponsors, your endorsers, right? DW.
I play DW drums. They love me. I love them. They have a great sound. And Garrison and the folks over there, John, take good care of me. And I really appreciate that. I play Pisces cymbals.
Right.
They take good care of me. And I really appreciate that. I have beautiful drumsticks. And they have my name on them. You can buy them. So I'm happy I have my own stick. I'm very happy to have microphones. We have beautiful
Audix
microphones. God bless you. And also, one more thing we have that we endorse here over here.
Remo
drums. The beautiful heads. And at one point, we were quite close working with Korg through you.
Well, you still are on their artist. You're still.
We did Meyer Korg.
That's right. You and I did a.
We did a great.
I think we had a lot of fun doing that. I have to find that video. I probably had a lot less gray hair.
A little bit.
Thanks. Well, no, I can't tell you how much this meant to me. Like I said, I miss you. I miss our foundation chats and our hangs. I can't wait to be able to go to dinner with you guys again and get the kids together. I hope and pray that this thing, we get a handle on it soon, and we can do more than just the video thing. But man, I hope you had fun today, and I really appreciate you coming out.
Yes, I have a great time, and I know how important it is to speak with you and your fans, our fans. Yeah. I want to give a lot of hope today. I want to give a lot of love today. I want to give a lot of breath that we can make it together. Absolutely. I want to come back and play outside your shop again.
That was a blast. So, thank you again.
And just pick some Hendrix out there, man.
That was awesome.
You know what I mean? Have some more fun. And we're still young and sexy. Yes, we are. So, and I want to say thanks to everybody right now. Also, my friend right now is Neil. If Neil Sean's watching, Neil, I send you a lot of love.
Oh, he's actually going to be walking in the door in a second. He just texted me. So,
and I give everybody a lot of love right now.
Absolutely. I think that's what I really want to do with these chats is just, make people feel like they're not alone and we're all in this together. And, my friends are their friends, and, we can shed some love and light around right now.
That's it.
Yeah. You're the best, my friend. Really, truly appreciate you. Thanks everybody for watching. We're gonna wrap this on up.
Thank you.
Go find that. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, whoa. When the last time? Last time, everybody, go get it. Where can we go buy this? Where can we get it?
iTunes and in record shops. It's on vinyl. It's a cool vinyl, and it's also on CD. And I'm sorry, what?
Vinyl will be out.
Oh, yeah, and the vinyl, I'm sorry, will be out in 2 weeks. They're having a little delay with making the vinyls, but they're coming. And what I love is that it was made to be on vinyl. It's 20 minutes aside, and kind of a throwback for me to have something that I love on record.
Nice. My daughter just got into the LPs. She made me bring out the album, so we're doing it. So I'm going to order that. Okay. And Narada Michael Walden Foundation.org, I believe, is our site. And
we could do something for the foundation on Skype. I'm thinking about it. Why not? The Democratic Convention on Skype. Why not just do it on Skype?
Yeah, we'll brainstorm. I have some ideas around how we can do that. But anybody who's watching, anybody that cares about supporting kids in music, about really being part of that next generation, it's our job to bring that up. This foundation does that. Go to that site, donate, be part of the programs, be part of the solution, be part of our community. That second word, music community. The community part's the important one. So Narada Michael Foundation.
Great musicians.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, my friend. You're the best. I can't wait to see you again and give you a hug.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you very much for everyone for coming.